When you get an unexpected $50 fine or a hostile email from a coworker, your body registers the threat before your mind does. Your stomach drops, your heart races, and your internal alarm sounds. Panicked instincts often create secondary crises that outlast the original problem. Ripping up a bill or firing off a defensive email amplifies the damage without addressing the root cause. This exercise uses the 6-step ROFA protocol to override that reaction. By the end of this process, you will have a written, logistical action plan for one specific problem you are facing right now. To begin, get a pen and paper. This tool is designed for solvable, logistical challenges. We are using it to build a plan, not to process deep psychological trauma. Strategic problem-solving requires a rigid framework to replace the body's involuntary threat response. Step 1 is to detect your warning signs. On your paper, write down your current physical state. If your chest is tight or your hands are sweating, record those physical sensations first, before addressing the problem itself. Attempting to reframe the mind while the body is on fire rarely works. Physiological distress signals function as data points. They identify a situation needs attention, but they should not dictate the response. Step 2. State the facts objectively. As this session note indicates, write down the problem's exact parameters, aggressively stripping away emotional bias. The facilitator contrasts the emotional complaint, "The city is out to get me," against the objective fact, "I received a $50 fine." Isolating physical panic and removing the emotional narrative creates the neutral foundation necessary for a solution. Step 3 is identifying your risk reaction. Explicitly name the absolute worst idea, impulsive move you want to make right now, such as screaming at a supervisor or ignoring a legal notice. Relying on panicked instincts creates a compounding crisis. Following that initial emotional branch often leads to a jagged cycle of escalation that loops back to the original stressor. Writing down the destructive urge isolates the impulse. Seeing it on paper strips away its power and prevents you from making the situation worse. Step 4 is setting the goal. Define the specific outcome you want, then list the missing information required to reach it, the who, where, and when of resolution. Prioritize the logistical resolution over emotional validation. You are solving for the fine, not for the fury. Step 5 is to weigh your choices. Consider the long-term consequences of your earlier risk reaction. If a fine increases every 10 days it goes unpaid, the angry impulse to ignore it is simply mathematically useless. Shifting the mental frame provides a different path. Viewing a sanitation worker as someone keeping the city clean, rather than a personal enemy, diffuses the anger. This counter-narrative bypasses the escalating red path and leads straight to resolution. Re-narrating a perceived enemy as a neutral logistical factor returns strategic control to you. Step 6 is choosing the action step. Write down the first move you will make, selecting a social skill like active listening or polite feedback to carry it out. The chosen action step serves the goal established in Step 4, regardless of how you feel in the present moment. This final note at the bottom of the tool summarizes the entire approach. Face it, replace it. Completing this keep card transforms you from a passive victim of a sudden problem into an active executor of a plan. Look at your completed plan. You have transitioned from a state of physiological alarm to a 6-step, emotion-free path forward. Problems cause disruption, but structured action stops the drift. This anchor settles the situation, preventing the chaotic emotions from pulling you off course. Rooted in the original session notes is this final rule: pain and trauma is not home. Solving a problem means refusing to live at the address of your worst moment. You acknowledge the distress, execute the plan, and move your attention back to the present.